On. There we go. We got it pretty well together. Not really 100%. There we go. Oh. Drop the tomato. Let's drop the music. Throw in the comments. Drop the tomato. And here we go. It's hot day today. It's definitely a hot day today. Family first. Start off today. Family first. Man, where do we put priorities? I guess is the topic of the day. Let's kind of go through that. Where do we focus on first? What do we focus on first? How do we figure out what to focus on? But there's so many things going on. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. It's so frustrating. There's so many opportunities. Hey, but that looks like something cool to do. Maybe I should do that. But if I do that, I won't be able to do this. Woo! Hey, this buddy of mine sat down with a sales coach friend, sat down with me, and he's like, hey, went through reality on the whole thing. Not the reality is this person more important than that? Is that project more important than this? I started at it was the killer. It's like, okay, tell me what you do. How much time do you spend each day, each week, each month, if it is, on whatever it may be? Yeah, it's a lot. That's when you start to prioritize the whole thing. That's when you start to go figure out what's important, what's not important. I don't even like that word prioritize, to tell you the truth. It's just putting things in an order of what can I get done, what means the most to me, and what means the most to the family, as well too. As we have so many obligations in life as we go through. Even if you're alone, you got no family, no nothing, no support system. It's like you obviously have an obligation. Oh, I have no obligations. That's not true. Of course, you have obligation. You got an obligation to yourself. Always have an obligation to yourself to do the best that you possibly can to make the best of whatever that situation is, and then go from there. But I think even if you're totally alone in that respect, no family, no nothing, you always have something. There's always some community that you're a part of. There's always some group that you're a part of. May not be formal, definitely may not be formal. Gosh, there's a number of different situations like that. Certainly not a formal group, but every once in a while, you need to lean on somebody. You need to give someone a call. You need to do something. Doug, good afternoon to you. And that becomes, a focus on. But still, you got to go figure out, what's good for you, where you can put those time, energy, and effort, into. And it's different. So this morning I went out. My wife and I went out. Didn't hear the rabbi this morning. I have nothing to say on that side of things, except for the fact that it always seems to come back whenever I listen in over there, or whenever I go to some event or something like that. Always seems to come back to certain topics and stuff like that. And one of those topics, without a doubt, is what I'm doing good for me and those surrounding me? Or is it selfish? Is it in that narcissistic world? And how do you break out of that narcissistic world? And do people see it otherwise? Or their perception of it is that you're just doing it for you and all that selfishness and that kind of thing. Can't be that. It can't be that. Because that becomes unsustainable. It just does. It just does. Because there's no way that you're going to be able to go through life, go through different situations, circumstances, whatever it is, where you're not going to need to pick up the phone at some point in time and rely on somebody for something. Maybe it's just a thought. Maybe it's just a sales coach friend to sit down with and like get me back, get get you back focused. Where you're figuring out, where you're spending your time. Because if you've listened to me in the past, you know that there's a bunch of different things I've done with this process idea of setting up a marketing plan based on that, figuring out the priority and everything else from there. A time log. Why did you do a time log? Why? It's because I got everything together? No. It's usually born out of some frustration with something. That's why you do it. That became the catalyst. The catalyst became I got disorganized. I was losing track of the day. Got to the point where we would lose track of time completely. It's like, where's the day going? Where's the week going? Where's the month going? No matter how you cut it, you're most probably going to be taking a look back right now and say, oh my gosh, it's the end of December. What happened to this year? Where did it go? Did it just blur in with last year? Maybe blurred in the last couple of years. Oh, it just went so fast. Was that 2 years ago that you did something already? Boy, if it wasn't for some of the things online here, those Facebook reminders that come up, or there's anniversary notes that pop up every once in a while. It's like, wow, that was that long ago already? Wow, where'd everything go? Well, perhaps that is a sign that we're not paying attention to those things that really, truly matter the most. The family thing. Family, maybe it's a true family, your spouse, kids, parents. Maybe it's your family is considered to be friends, close friends. There was a TV show that was on this morning. They were decorating the tree and they put a star on top of the tree. And the person said to himself, that star should go on your tree with your family. She said, well, this is my family. How many times that happened, right? Those folks that we work with, all of a sudden, they become a lot closer to us than we can imagine. Maybe it's a community group you're a part of. Maybe it's a support group you're part of. Maybe you don't even realize how important you are to other people. Get a compliment every once in a while. It's nice, right? Oh, yeah, thanks for helping out. You're like, okay, man, real cool. Glad I'm able to do it and that kind of thing. But maybe they're telling you even a little bit more than that. Because I know that you reach out to folks and you have more of an impact on people than you could ever imagine. And you don't imagine it. You don't think of it. You just don't think of it. Think about that giving thing. It's not about gifts or any of that stuff, which is always, whatever. It's nice, that kind of thing. That's not it. Maybe it's a matter of giving time. I sat down with a guy. I went through these projects, things like that, working on it. It's like, da 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 da. In hindsight, I never really put down how much time I spend with the family. Maybe it is just watching TV. Maybe it's sitting in the kitchen cooking something. Maybe it's sitting in the backyard. Maybe it's going down to the beach, just hanging out, going to watch the sunset, just sitting there. Just spending some time with those that mean something to us. Now we can talk business if you'd like. Sure. We need to sit down with ourselves. We need to go and write out what our plans are. We need to set goals, write them out, smart goals, right? Specific, reachable goals, time frame, all the rest of that kind of thing. But do we ever spend time? Do we spend enough time? Do we think about others as we go through this? Oh yeah, so you got a successful business and you're making money for the family so everybody can enjoy it. Yeah, you know how many people I know that are gone on vacation? Not as many as what probably should. Or just gone down to the beach and it's got nothing to do with time. What about that support group you're in? What about that mastermind group you're part of? Oh, I know. You're just spitting out ideas. Oh, it's what it's about. We just share ideas. Well, you might be sharing ideas with somebody that really wants those ideas, but really wants to be part of something just as much. Wants to be able to communicate, able to share, and feel like they belong to something. If you could help that person and see that person and listen to the way that person is talking, that just may be the greatest gift of them all throughout this holiday season and throughout the entire year. Think about that. Think about how you react, how you're acting, not reacting, but how you're acting with other people, how that relationship, kind of goes. It's interesting. Reminds me back in college. My roommate and I went for a road trip. We were going to school upstate, and we had to go to Connecticut for something. I for the life of me, I don't recall what it was, but whatever. So we're in the car, and we're just driving. Didn't talk. Different times we spoke. It's not that we weren't talking to each other. We didn't talk. We weren't doing that. We were just together. We were just there. We were just there. And I remember thinking back on the whole thing. I was like, you know what? That was pretty cool in and of itself. And it was cool in the respect that we were comfortable enough with each other to just not have to feel obligated to fill the time and talk. I'll hesitate on that one. I feel comfortable enough to not feel obligated to fill this time completely and talk. But that's what that was. It was just that time together that was meaningful. It's college roommate, not even a big deal, but it was funny how I recall. I remember thinking about that at the time, and this is years ago. This is, oh my gosh, back 40 years ago. 40 years ago. Remember the scenario, not necessarily where we were going. Somehow we wound up in Bridgeport. Plus, we're going to the ferry to come back to Long Island for whatever reason. Again, I don't recall, but that was it. So, how much time do you spend with the folks, your family, spouse, friends, call it what you will, that support group you're in, those people that you're involved with, the networking group that you're involved with? Maybe business, some folks are working jobs, it's different than careers, and some are a little bit more involved with people at work than others and the rest of that. So that one gets to be a little gray. Let's kind of set that aside. But what about that core group of people? Just call out of the blue. Just shoot the bull with them. Say, hey, how's it going? What's happening? What's happening with that? All right, those conversations go a long way. That's a gift. That's a gift you could certainly give. One person I spoke with this morning about that. It's just like, what's wrong? It's like, nothing. What do you need? Nothing. Why are you calling? Want to find out about something personal. Was not business, anything like that. Dude, family member. What's going on? Just do that. It's a feel good call on both sides. It's a gift. It's a gift that you can give to a lot of people. Just do it. Just do it. Doesn't have to be this week, whatever, you get time, but let's say over the next quarter, right? By the first quarter of this year, right? You're gearing up, you're doing all this kind of stuff. Add a little time into your day. Put that down, right? You got to make 3 prospecting calls. You're going to make 5 business calls to existing customers, clients. You're going to set aside 15 minutes to think about whatever you didn't accomplish, need to accomplish. 10 minutes, maybe a little bit less than that, just going over yesterday's notes, transcribing them for today, which I really think you should do at night, the night before. Take the day's notes, transcribe what you need to for the next day's activity. Do all of that stuff. Get it done. Get it done quickly. Combine it. You need a little time to think. Do while you're walking. Get on the exercise bike. Roller. I got you there, my friend. Whatever it might be. A little arm curls. Anything. Anything. while you're making your smoothie in the morning, while you're making your breakfast in the morning. Throw into that. Throw into that one phone call a day to somebody that you haven't spoken to. It's just a hey, how you doing? Maybe just 15 minutes a day. You just sit down and talk to your spouse, your partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, kids, parents. 15 minutes a day. Too much? 15 minutes every other day. But some period of time. Some period of time. This way, at the end of next year, when you think about, what did I do last year? Well, here's a few things that you've done. You've shared with other people. Maybe shared some of the stuff that's going on in your world. More importantly, you've shared some of your time with other people and listened. Listen, see what's going on in their world. Might even present an opportunity for you. Oh, actually, it just seems like it always does. It always does. You know, but spend a little time just kind of listening, see what's going on, the rest of that stuff. Your networking group, business groups, mastermind groups, it's a little bit different than that. You're just calling them out of the blue. You call someone in your mastermind group out of the blue, there is no just talking. It'll revert back to that. But those other business groups and networking groups and things like that, hey, maybe why don't you just show up at the next one and don't bring cards? Just don't bring cards. Just nothing. Just show up and be there and ask them what's going on. I'd still bring a notepad. Definitely always bring a notepad wherever you go. Always bring a notepad, right? A little reporter notepad or something like that. But this way, you always have the notes on that one. I can't seem to remember all the details of everything as we move forward. All right, so that's where that comment kind of comes from. But the point is not to make notes, but the point is to focus on them, not you. Don't prepare your elevator pitch. Don't do any of that stuff. Don't forget that. Just let it go. Just let it go. Focus on them. You know what the crazy thing about that's going to end up being? I'm going to let you think about that. The crazy thing about that is that if you're affiliating with the right group of people, you got the right partner, the right spouse, the right friends, the right family, the right group, the right community, the right mastermind group, the right business group, the right circle of influence that's surrounding you. Maybe you're going to wind up doing something that's super, super effective for you, actually on a personal note, when you share your time with others. Is you're going to find out that people are going to be speaking to you about what they're doing and how they want you to participate in that. They're going to share some of the efforts that they're doing, and you're going to hear that, hey, you know what? Maybe you should speak to this person because they can assist with those efforts. You're going to hear that person say, thank you, or smile at the end of that conversation in a way that's a little different because they now are seeing you as a listener, as a supporter, as someone who's giving, not just looking to do business or network or whatever. But they're going to see you as someone who cares. You know, cares. No like, trust kind of thing, but really cares. And that's ultimately what all of these groups in a perfect scenario, what all of these groups really should be. Look, relationships are built on what? Trust, the love of each other, the support of each other, the caring about each other. caring, absolutely caring about each other. A buddy of mine called. He's like, there are certain people in this world I know I could call. I'm like, oh, okay, that's great. He said, at 2 o'clock in the morning, if I get stuck on the road someplace, I'm like, okay, that's a phone call. That's a phone call. What would you do? Who would you call at 2 o'clock in the morning? It's like, I'm stuck someplace. I need assistance. I got something going on. I need you. Who in your circle would you be able to reach out to at 2 o'clock in the morning to get that help? To just talk if something's going on, or more so. And then think about the other way around. Who do you think would feel that they are close enough to you to give that 2 o'clock in the morning phone call to? And granted, you get a phone call 2 o'clock in the morning. It's always a scary time to get a phone call, but it happens. Do you have a relationship with many people where that 2 o'clock phone call can take place? Do you think people trust you enough or close enough to you to make that 2 o'clock call? And maybe there's some folks out there that you want them to know that, look, anything comes to me, you could call me at any time. And gosh, you can make that comment to people like, oh, yeah, right. It's got to come from someplace sincere. As that goes. And that's that little bit of effort for a longer period of time that shows that you really care. It's simple, right? Not really. Not really. It's simple in the respect that it's got to be consistent. Obviously, it's much easier with family. You see them all the time, right? Yeah, you see them all the time. You pop into the living room, the kitchen, you spend some time, pick up the phone, do that whole thing. But the business community a little bit tougher. Those folks that you work with that you rely on all the time. I wonder if they rely on you as much as you rely on them. Do you want to? Do you want to? As a comment to you, Mike, I see that now you call. I mean, you call me. You call me anytime. That's fine. And Doug and many others. Yeah, definitely the case. Phone's on. Oh gosh, the phone's on. Gotta turn the message thing off. Whatever. Every once in a while, they get the Facebook thing popping up. It's like, oh man, I gotta turn that thing off. As that goes. But whatever. But that circle. Are you a part of somebody else's circle that you want to be part of? And those people that you think are part of your circle, are you paying enough attention to them? That's the gift of giving. That really becomes the thing. I went with my wife this morning. Did I need to go? It wasn't one of those need to go things. It was just to do. I think it was the right thing to do. Oh, there we go. As she pops on over here. It wasn't a need to thing, but you know, wanted to do it. Just flat out, wanted to do that thing. So that was that was interesting, and so I spent a couple of hours doing that whole stuff. So it's cool. That's it. That's really it. I don't have much more to say to that other than think about that circle that you got. The family, friends, community, whatever it is, whatever your community is. If your community is the literal community that you live in, hey, maybe that's something. If your community is more the business community that means something to you, hey, that's something. If your community is that nonprofit that you're involved with, that charity you're involved with, you know what? That's something else. Maybe you got a great group of friends that you're still in touch with that you have. You know what? Hey, if you're able to do that as the years go by, man, that's really cool because that becomes tougher and tougher to do. Just very hard to do, to have people just be friends, nothing else. No business, no nothing, nothing. Just pure, flat out friends. Like, hey, you know what? I just want to dinner out, have a good time, talk about absolutely nothing. for a couple of hours, just flat out nothing. That circle, it's tougher to keep as we get older. We all got different things that get in our way of the rest of that stuff. And there is the barrier. That is the roadblock. That is the challenge on that one. Break through that roadblock. Get beyond that. See if you could build up that circle of friends, influence that really means something to you. And then amazing things are going to happen. One, I think you're going to feel a lot better about yourself, but one, and that's probably the greatest thing in the world because that leads to everything else in life, including a whole bunch of confidence to go out there and achieve different things. It also leads to another great thing in life, too. It's having the availability of resources. And I'm not talking about money, I'm talking about people that would be there to support your efforts because it's you. It's just you. Those people would be there that feel comfortable enough to call you at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's an interesting group of people to have. That is a core group of people. You have that. You're going to get, you're going to feel better about yourself. You're going to have confidence that you're going to be able to take elsewhere. You're going to have opportunities that are going to be presented to you because people are going to think about you that much more frequently. They're going to see you as that no-like person in their circle. They're going to see you as someone that they could absolutely trust with someone. They're going to see you as that person that they could call, not always at 2 o'clock in the morning, but at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and say, hey, Doug, this is Brian. Hey, Mike, this is Brian. I got this crazy idea I've been thinking about. What do you think? What do you think? There's very few people that perhaps you could call and say, look, man, this is the stupidest idea, totally unrealistic, but I just got to share it with somebody and get an opinion. You got that circle? That's a positive circle. Work on that circle. Let's make that a New Year's resolution since we're talking about New Year's. But let's make that, that goal out there. Understand who your core group is. And then you can do absolutely anything. You'll have that foundation for you to, without a doubt, move forward, conquer anything, and more importantly, have that support system in place if you need it. And then when you take a look back at the end of each year, you're like, what did I really do? What do I really know? Well, I really know that anything is possible to get through because you've got a solid circle. And that's where it begins, having that solid circle. Enjoy the day. If you're in and around, actually, I think if you're in and around the country, be careful of the weather. It's going to be interesting. Super cold, super rainy, super windy, super absolutely everything for like a major portion, of the United States. So be careful out there. We'll be back again. We'll chat again. We'll go figure out another topic as we continue to move forward on Tomato Talk. That is top of mind, advancing through opportunities. We just have to see them. And when we do, we're going to speak well. We're going to speak often, and we will live inspired. Great day, folks.